Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that ache in your chest when you're alone too long, the one that hums, "You're not enough," is not just yesterday's rejection or a lost job, but a trail leading back to the first time you learned to fold yourself small, maybe when your mother sighed at your crying or your teacher mocked your messy drawing. And in that moment, you didn't stop feeling. You stopped being. Became a performance still auditioning for a ghost, haunted by the shadow Jung spoke of. The parts of you buried for being too much, too loud, too needy, too angry, not dead, but alive, pounding on the coffin lid of your ribs, their screams mistaken for anxiety, their grief for failure, and in your numbing, scrolling, staying busy, you try to escape, but the shadow waits, and freedom is not found in outrunning it, but in turning around, seeing your darkness and saying, "Oh, it's you," sitting in the mud with your brokenness, holding the child who still thinks love must be earned, refusing to justify the silence of those who hurt you, and declaring, "I am here anyway," feeling that flicker of your shadow nodding, urging you to resist wrapping your pain in pretty words or branding your rage as passion, because real integration is raw, screaming into pillows, writing unsent letters, letting your voice crack, dismantling the walls you built to survive, which feels like death but might just be birth. And the path forward is this. Affirm the unlovable, whisper, "I see you," stay, to the shame, choose stillness over noise, let misunderstanding happen, and trust that the ones who matter will remain while ghosts fall away. For freedom is not a place but a practice, a daily surrender to your wholeness, a refusal to beg the past for closure, an invitation to walk into the fire of becoming, carrying every scar as a compass, whispering when the old fears rise, "I choose my peace over your permission," because this is not fixing, it's remembering, reclaiming the sacredness of the child you were before the world taught you otherwise, and though the work is hard, you've survived worse, and here you are, still breathing, still hoping, and that right there is your revolution. So tomorrow, before you check your phone or your worth, place your hand on your chest and feel the drumbeat of a self you've yet to meet. Follow it, especially when logic screams, "Wrong way," because stumbling is sacred, and scars mean you're finally awake, invited to stop surviving in grayscale and start living in wild, imperfect color by saying yes out loud to your full self, remembering that biting your tongue for peace wasn't kindness, but fear masked as politeness. Your persona, as Jung called it, stitched tighter each time you said, "I'm fine," while mistaking survival for living, thinking freedom is a mountain to climb when really it's the weight you drop, the weight of should, the tension in your shoulders from silencing the child inside who only wanted to play and was exiled for being too sensitive, and now your joy feels like a ration because you've become addicted to fixing what was never broken, hunting missing pieces instead of asking, "What's alive in this pain?" Your fourth how-to, sitting with it not as victim but as witness, knocking on the locked doors of your shadow, asking anger what it protects and shame who told it to hide, terrified by the answers but freed by them, even as the world rewards your mask and calls your burnout grind, while your bones, ancient and honest, begin to break from the weight of what you've denied, reminding you, your fifth how-to let your body speak, to turn inward when it tightens and ask, "What's here?" not "What's wrong?" Because presence is rebellion in a culture that confuses numbness with strength. And no, healing isn't ethereal. It's ugly crying in a CVS parking lot, choosing therapy over vengeance, boring Tuesday nights of new boundaries, your sixth how-to, finding sacred in the mundane, slow chewing, sunlit windows, gentle no's as soul tending, even when the ego shouts, "This is too small," because the divine is in the details, and you are too. And yes, some will mourn the version of you they controlled, the friend who liked you fun but shallow, the partner who feared your growth, but not all will survive your awakening, and that's okay. Grieve them, release them. Your seventh how-to, Stop shrinking to fit someone else's idea of you, because your fullness isn't selfish. It's sacred, and this path isn't about being liked, but being real. Raw enough to shake loose the false, strong enough to terrify your old self. And in that shadow you once feared lives your genius. Your curse reframed as calling. The overthinker becomes the sage, the pleaser becomes the diplomat, the rebel becomes the innovator. Your eighth how-to. Study your shadows for clues, ask what superpower you've called a curse, write it down, burn it, and watch the ashes whisper that redemption is always hidden in what you've rejected. But integration is a spiral, not a straight line. You'll forget, you'll people please, you'll numb again, and when you do, don't condemn yourself. Bow, say thank you to the tenderness revealed, and try again, because this is the alchemy. Fall, forgive, rise, repeat. Not failure, but molting, peeling back old skins to reveal the truer face beneath. The world desperate for your undressed heart, bleeding beauty like a sunset through broken clouds, reminding you, your ninth how-to stop worshiping closure, that the parent who never apologized, the lover who vanished, their silence isn't a locked door but a key, unlocking the room where your power's been patiently waiting, because while you've begged strangers for validation, your own hands held the feast all along, but you were too busy starving yourself on crumbs. Enough. Sit at your own table. 10th how-to. Feed your hunger, not with likes or liquor, with the words you've swallowed, the art you've postponed, the yes you've buried. Dig it up, plant it in daylight, watch what grows. Yes, it'll scare people. Good. Scared people are honest people. They'll show you who's ready to expand with you, and who's clinging to your ghost. Let them cling. You're not a life raft. You're an ocean. Now, what about the days you regress? When you crawl back to old habits, old lovers, old lies, don't spiral, kneel. Thank your patterns for keeping you alive. Then whisper, I've got you now. This isn't a relapse. It's a ritual. 11th how-to. Treat your triggers as teachers. Next time fear hijacks your pulse, ask, what ancient hurt is knocking? Listen, not to fix, just to hear. That's how orphans of the soul get adopted. But you've been addicted to the chase, the next fix, the next level, the next you. What if this is the destination? The messy, miraculous now? 12th how-to. Worship the ordinary, the laundry, the traffic, the unremarkable Tuesday. These are not obstacles to your awakening, they're the altar. Burn incense in your commute. Chant grace while you chop onions. Holiness lives in the unheroic, but the mind will resist. Do something big, prove your worth. Ignore it. The most radical act? Being here, fully. Not as a project, but a poem. Now, let's talk about loneliness. That void you stuff with Netflix and doom scrolling. It's not loneliness. It's longing. For the parts of you exiled decades ago. 13th how-to. Date yourself. Take your inner child to the park. Let them pick the ice cream flavor. Apologize for abandoning them. Watch how they light up when you say, I'm staying. This isn't self-care. It's soul repair. But the world will mock your tenderness. Call it navel-gazing. Let them. While they're analyzing, you'll be alchemizing, turning pain into poetry, wounds into wisdom. 14th how-to. Create without an audience. Dance in your kitchen. Write the memoir no one may read. Sing off-key to songs that crack your chest open. This is how you court the divine, not with perfection, with participation. Still, doubts will come. Who do you think you are? Answer. Someone's ancestor. Someone's answer. Someone's mirror. You don't need permission to exist boldly. The stars didn't ask to burn. They just did. So, when tomorrow feels heavy, return to your breath. The one thing you've always carried. The one thing no one can take. 15th how-to. Breathe like you're forgiving yourself. Inhale. I release the war. Exhale. I choose the wonder. Repeat until your cells believe it. They will. Bodies crave truth like plants crave sun. Now, look at how far you've come. The nights you swore would kill you, you're here. The love that gutted you, you're still loving. That's not naivety. That's faith. Not in gods or karma, but in your own grit. So keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Your story, your scars, your chance to say, I showed up. When the world said, disappear. Final how-to. Let your life be your legacy. Not the awards, the hours. The mornings you chose softness over armor. Quiet. Unmarketable. Eternal. Now, take my hand. We're crossing the threshold. No more hiding. No more earning. Just being. Say it with me. I choose my peace over fear. Write it on your skin, your screensaver, your heartbeat. Let it drown out the what-ifs. And if you forget, return here. Press play. We'll walk it again. This path isn't linear. It's a spiral. You'll circle back, but higher each time, seeing old wounds with new eyes. That's not failure. It's evolution. So subscribe to your own becoming. Hit follow on your intuition. The real journey starts now, not in some distant enlightenment. Here, in the laundry, the traffic, the unanswerable ache. Carry this truth like a torch. You were never broken. You were brave. Brave enough to fracture, to feel, to heal. Now go, live like the myth you are. Stumble, rise, repeat. The world needs your unedited verse. And when you doubt, remember, freedom wasn't waiting for you to arrive. It was waiting for you to begin. What if your loneliness is just your soul's appetite? A hunger for the parts you left in basements, hospitals, motel rooms. Go collect them, not with shame, with a crowbar. 16th how-to. Raid your own past. Break into the house of your 14-year-old self. Steal back the journals they said were too dramatic. Rescue the laugh you censored for being too loud. These aren't memories. They're hostages. Negotiate their release. Ever notice how dictators fear artists? Your creativity isn't a hobby. It's a holy war. Every poem you don't write tightens the world's chains. 17th how-to. Weaponize your joy. Dance in the grocery aisle until someone films you. Let them. Your freedom is contagious. The greatest lie? That healing is gentle. Bullshit. True growth tastes like blood and honey. 18th how-to. Swallow both. Next time grief sucker punches you in a CVS, cradle the candy aisle like a lover. Whisper, I'm still here. I'm still here. Your ancestors didn't survive plagues and pogroms for you to mute yourself in Zoom meetings. 19th how-to. Turn your rage into an heirloom. Burn the apology drafts. Plant the ashes in a pot by your window. Watch what grows when you stop saying sorry for existing. The cosmos speaks in riddles. Your panic attack, a misplaced prayer. Your insomnia, a portal. 20th how-to. Decode your symptoms. Ask your fatigue, what am I refusing to feel? Ask your rage, where have I been too small? Your body isn't broken, it's speaking in sonnets. You've been taught to fear your fire, to call it too intense, too much, unhinged. Bullshit. Forests need wildfires to breathe. 21st how-to. Arson your comfort zone. Let the flames lick the ceilings of who you pretended to be. What survives the burn? That's your name. Closure is a fairy tale for those who fear the dark. You're a night bloomer. 22nd how-to. Make love to the unknown. Propose to the question mark. Let it undress you in moonlight. The best lives are lived italicized. Now, run your tongue over the crack in your heart. Taste the salt, the iron, the alleluia. This isn't an ending. It's a door. Kick it open. The basement isn't empty. It's crowded with ghosts. The you who danced before they called it too much. The you who believed in magic before the world called it naive. They've been waiting, not to haunt you, to be resurrected. But resurrection is messy. It smells like antiseptic and old wounds split open. You'll want to suture them shut again. Don't. Blood is truth's ink. Write the story you've been avoiding, the one where you're the villain and the hero and the casualty. Yes, you hurt people. Not because you're cruel, because you were taught love tastes like sacrifice. You starved yourself to feed others. Now your bones ache with hunger. This is the trap. You keep feeding the wrong mouths. The boss who demands your nights. The friend who only calls when drunk. You mistake their hunger for connection. It's not. It's a mirror of your own starving child. Jung warned us, what you resist not only persists, but grows louder. So let's name the resistance. The Sunday night dread. The way you sabotage joy like it's a fire drill. You've confused survival with living. Survival is a clenched fist. Living is an open palm. But opening means dropping the armor, the sarcasm, the I don't care shrugs, the Tinder swipes to numb the silence. Here's the dark truth. You're addicted to your own absence, to being a ghost in your life. Because if no one sees you, no one can leave. But you're already gone. A hologram of habits. Rebellion is not a tattoo or a scream. It's sitting still long enough to hear the whisper, "What do I need?" Not your mother's answer. Not the self-help book's mantra. Yours. It will terrify you. Because it's simple. Quit the job. Leave the marriage. Move to the coast. Or stay. But stay awake. Stop sleepwalking through your choices. The shadow doesn't want your grand gestures. It wants your honesty. Even if you whisper it. Even if your voice shakes. Try this tonight. Light a candle. Name one lie you've been fed. Love is earned. Rest is for the weak. Watch the flame devour it. Feel the heat on your skin. That's your anger, your sacred fuel. Now name a truth. I am allowed to want. I am allowed to leave. Let the wax pool like liquid courage. This is shadow work, not Instagram posts, not theory, sweat, tears, the kind of labor that births galaxies. You'll want to stop, to crawl back into the numbness, the Netflix marathons, the midnight scrolling. That's the addiction talking. The child who thinks distraction is safety. Rock them instead. Sing the lullaby you needed. I will not abandon you again. Mean it. This is how you unlearn centuries, how you break the curse, not with a wand, with your bare hands, digging until you hit the roots. They're deeper than you think. But so is your pulse, your primal animal will. You were never broken, just buried. Now breathe. The air is different here, sharp, alive. This is your becoming, not after the healing, in the unraveling, in the now. Write this vow. I will no longer betray myself to belong. Tattoo it on your ribs. Let it guide you home. The child in the basement is waiting. They've drawn you a map, in crayon, smudged with hope. Follow it. The map leads here, to this moment, where the air tastes like static before lightning. You've been taught to fear storms, but the storm is your birthplace. Feel it? The crackle in your chest, the old stories dissolving like sugar in rain. This is not transcendence, it's collision. The shadow and the saint finally meeting. No more war, a ceasefire brokered by your own hands. Jung called it the union of opposites, not perfection, wholeness. Here's your first how-to. Stop negotiating with your darkness, the guilt, the shame. They're not flaws, they're fingerprints, proof you've touched life. Say it. I refuse to amputate myself to fit your world. Let it echo. Second step, build altars where they told you to build walls. In the cracks, in the silences between I can't and I will. Light a match. Name what you've lost. Your wildness, your voice, your right to take up space. Burn the apology you never owed. Third step, rewrite the myth of your life. You're not Icarus. You're the sun. They warned you not to shine too bright. Do it anyway. Blind them. This is your awakening, not a single epiphany, a daily rebellion, coffee at dawn, choosing silence over lies, saying no when your knees shake. Your freedom lives here, in the mundane miracles, the unspectacular courage of being yourself. The world will try to gaslight you. You're too intense. Who do you think you are? Smile. You know the answer now. The one who stopped asking permission. Your scars are not warnings, they're hieroglyphs, a map for others still lost. This is how we heal, not alone in therapists' offices. but by howling our truths into the void and hearing the echo, me too. Keep going. The final vow. I will no longer abandon myself to be loved. Write it. Sing it. Carve it into your morning toast. Let it be your anthem. You are not free yet, but you are no longer asleep. That's the revolution. The rest is practice. Fall in love with the stumble, the relapse, the days you forget your name. They're not failures. They're friction. The spark before the flame. Now look in the mirror again. See her? Him? Them? The stranger is gone. You recognize yourself now. Not fixed, not finished, but found. This is where the work begins, where the chains end, where you finally taste the word, enough. Let it rot in your mouth, then bloom. You are the soil and the seed, the wound and the water, the scream and the silence after. This is your life, not a prologue, not a test. The main event. Walk out of the basement, leave the door open. The child is coming with you, hand in hand, into the light, into the mess, into the glorious unbearable now. Breathe. This is freedom, not a destination, a direction. Keep walking. We're right behind you. Freedom isn't the absence of chains. It's hearing their rattle and walking anyway. You've been digging for answers, but the shovel's in your throat. The words you swallow are the keys. Spit them out, rusty, bloody, alive. Here's the teaching they'll never sell you. Your darkest fear is a misplaced prayer. That anxiety clawing your ribs at 3 a.m.? It's not a flaw. It's your soul's Morse code. Decode it. The dream where your teeth fall out? Not about aging, about the lies you've bitten into. The nightmare where you're naked in public? Not shame. A demand. Stop wearing their skin. Jung said, the psyche speaks in images. So here's your homework. Steal back your symbols. The wolf they called dangerous? It's your untamed voice. The storm they called chaos? Your creativity birthing itself. Reclaim your lexicon. Turn their curses into compasses.